Hey everybody, we are back with our Game of Thrones review. We didn't do it Sunday night because we were in California for Star Wars Celebration, but better late than never, so
Yes.
Here it is. Alright, so, I don't know, this season so far, it seems to be kind of slow for me.
I actually really enjoyed this episode.
I enjoyed the
yeah.
episode, Donna. What you think I did? I did enjoy it.
It was much better than the season premiere, and I think the only reason why the season premiere wasn't very good is because it was a season premiere. If that had happened in the middle of the show, it probably would have been a pretty good episode, but it was kind of lackluster for a season premiere.
Yeah.
This one here actually had a lot more going on, and it had more of the interesting characters.
Like Arya, which was a big help.
Exactly. So that was a really big help. So there's a couple of things that happen in this episode. One of the first ones is Brienne finds Sansa and offers her services to her, and Sansa says no. And Brienne decides to continue and just kind of follow her. And I didn't really get that, but then I was reading an interview online with the actress who plays Brienne. And
Gwendoline Christie.
Yes, Gwendoline Christie. And she said that in the script, Sansa looks down at Brienne kind of like, get out of here, as she refuses her. So she did not refuse her service so much as she was warning her to get away from them because they were going to hurt her. So,
I don't know if that was bad editing
or if it just wasn't acted out very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that's terribly difficult to act out. But that makes a lot more sense now. Like, after reading that interview, I was like, oh, that's why Brienne's following Sansa, is she does want Brienne. She just can't say it. She was warning her. So that makes a lot more sense now.
And we got a lot more Daenerys this time around,
Yes.
which was really, really cool. I really like Daenerys. I don't really care for the way she's being written right now because, well, I think Daenerys is at her best when she is following her instincts. And right now she's relying way too heavily on her advisors who are giving terrible advice.
And just proof in point, they tell her she wants to execute the harpy, and they tell her not to. They need, and so she settles on, okay, we'll do a trial then. And one of the freed slaves then executes the harpy and comes to tell her, I did it for you. And so she has him executed. I imagine that the council did not want her to do a public execution. In fact, I believe there was a little bit of dialogue saying, why didn't she just behead him in the pyramid and be done with it, instead of doing this big public execution. So I'm thinking that was her, but that was so much better than the, okay, we'll just put the harpy in jail and do a trial. Like, she's so much better when she just follows her own. And the reaction that she got, yeah, it might not have been the reaction she wanted, but they need to understand, just because you're a freed slave doesn't mean you can do anything and she's going to let you get away with it.
Right.
You still have to follow the law. So.
And obviously there's going to be some hard feelings for a while, but I think once Tyrion and Varys get there to kind of help a little bit, because right now she's taking advice from these people who really are just giving bad advice. I think Varys and Tyrion will be
especially
much better for her as far as advising.
I also think that the public execution of the former slave helps her case with the former masters, because they don't like her very much. But showing them, you know, this
justice goes
both ways. I am not just going to help out the former slaves. I'm going to help out the former masters too. So I think the public execution in the end is going to help her in the future. There was also a little, was it Drogon?
Yeah, Drogon made an appearance.
Drogon made an appearance.
Drogon the dragon.
Yes. I thought it was pretty good. What blew me away with this episode was Emilia Clarke's acting, because she looked like she was on a balcony with a dragon. It did not look like she was, you know, performing a scene with nothing there and they CG'd it later, which is what they did. But it looked like she was interacting with the dragon. It was amazing. And also her acting when the slave was beheaded and she was like near tears but being poised. Incredible acting on her part.
Emilia Clarke, has she won an Emmy yet for this? Because she totally should.
The acting in this episode alone is some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing.
Just the range of emotions that she can portray on her face.
Yeah.
She can portray multiple emotions with one look. It's so impressive to see that on screen.
Yeah.
It's really a delight. We got Arya in this episode. So
Yay.
hooray! And we got the return of
Jakka?
oh shit! I can't pronounce his name. Jaqen H'ghar? Is that it?
I don't know.
I think it's Jaqen H'ghar. And so he came back, which in the books I don't think he did, right?
No, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's been over a year since I've read since I finished the books, so some of my recollections might not be that good, but I don't think he actually returns in the books. I think it's just an old man, and we find out in this, in the show that the old man is Jakka.
I'm gonna call him Jaqen H'ghar. If I'm wrong, just
Jaqen H'ghar. But I think that's because the fan reaction to Jaqen H'ghar was so big that they decided to bring him back, and I'm actually really excited about that. This is a change that I am happy with. Mm-hmm. Like it works. I like it.
And I think Arya's story is going to quickly become the most interesting story in the show.
Yes.
It's probably the most interesting story in the books.
It's
it's right up there
where
with me.
you're at in the books, yes.
Where I'm at in the books, okay.
Where I'm at in the books, no.
I'm still in the middle of book 4. I'm really struggling my way through it because
book 4 is, if you're reading the books, book 4 is the hardest to read because they took book 4 and book 5 happen at the exact same time, but they just split the books and made 2 books. So they took all the really not interesting characters and put them in book 4.
With the exception of Arya.
Yes, and I think there's another one in there. Isn't Sansa in there?
Well, Sansa and Cersei are both in it, but their stories aren't that great in it, I didn't think. Or I
and
don't
then,
think. I'm still in the middle.
book 5 has all the really interesting people in it. So
Arya's story kind of has to carry the 4th book.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm kind of find it to be the most interesting. Because in the book I'm reading right now, it is absolutely the most interesting story. Cersei is kind of there, but Arya is really carrying the 4th book.
Cersei's story gets really good.
Okay, what else happened in this episode before we start spoiling things?
Speaking of Cersei, she decides to have a little council meeting acting like Miss Queen, and basically they all tell her, who the f are you? If the king wants us to do something, he can come in here and tell us himself. Mm-hmm. And so basically she's trying to assume power and become king, and it's not working. Yeah, king, but it's not working. In this world, in this universe, it is very, very man-dominated. Yeah. They are not going to allow this woman, who has been second to a man her entire life, lead them.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's ever explained in the books or anything, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it in the show, but how aware is Tommen that she's doing this behind the scenes? Is he engaged in this at all? Or is she just going off half-cocked on her own? So, I mean, Tommen's the king. I mean, granted, he's a little boy.
Yeah.
But how will he react if he ever finds out, even? So that'll be interesting to see, I think.
And, just based on how Cersei's been, it wouldn't surprise me if she's just not telling him and just running it how she sees fit.
And Tommen, from what we've seen of him so far, he seems to be kind of a mama's boy.
Yeah.
So he could totally be, aware of what she's doing and just be okay with it.
Yeah.
I don't know which it is. I hope we find out, because I think that could be a really interesting story if maybe he doesn't want her to do all this stuff.
Jon Snow was also in this episode. Mm-hmm. He
became Lord Commander.
Yes.
This happened a little bit differently in the books.
Yes, it did happen differently. It kind of seems like in the books he actually ran for Lord Commander, right?
I think, Sam didn't tell him. Sam put him up for it and then lobbied for him behind the scenes. And it was a very long developing thing. Like, Sam was going around to individual people kind of lobbying for him, and that's how he won. And in the show, that was very abbreviated. Where
it was like a dinner, and they were like, okay, we're going to vote who wants to nominate who.
And Sam gave a very rousing speech,
yes.
But I thought it was way more plausible of the way it happened in the book. Jon Snow's story, I have a feeling, is going to get really, really interesting, which is great, because he's been kind of dull ever since he left the Wildlings.
Yeah. I think so too, because, you know, like 50% or more of the Night's Watch don't really care for him, so I don't think it's going to matter much that he's Lord Commander.
Right.
I think some stuff's going to happen. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It was much better than the last episode, and so far, definitely better than last season.
Yeah. Neither one of us was very happy with last season. We thought it was, I don't know, for this show, kind of boring. I didn't think it lived up
it just wasn't very good.
To the quality of previous seasons.
Yeah, what it was is the whole season was really boring, and then they had a couple of BAM! In-your-face moments. Like, the Purple Wedding, it was so drawn out. You had this entire episode of blah. And then at the end, Joffrey dies.
Chokes her.
Yeah.
Or gets poisoned.
Yeah, it's poisoned.
Poison/slash chokes to death.
Anyway, I'm hopeful for this season. I can't wait to see certain things that I've read come to light on the screen. There's one in particular that I know is going to happen because I've heard some rumblings, so I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to review that episode.
I haven't read that far in the books yet. I'm in the middle of book 4, and it's so hard. But I will get through it eventually.
Let us know what you thought. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Do you disagree with us on some things, you know?
What do you think of the season so far?
Yeah. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
Also, down in the comments, we're going to try and get back to our Saturday topic of the week, so leave us a suggestion for that. It doesn't have to be Game of Thrones related. That's it for this video. If you want to check out any of our other videos, you can click here to subscribe. So, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.